Greetings to you. Thanks for joining us on the Tuesday edition of the show as we continue with our countdown to the Olympics, preview the Europa League final, and of course, preview what's going to go down in the Nigeria Professional Football League. Thanks for joining us once again. I'm Yemi Adebayo. And of course, I'll give you a quick rundown of what to expect on the show tonight. And I'll expect you to be a part of it. I'll expect you to talk to us. First, let me tell you what to expect. We'll be talking about the Olympics. We'll also talk about taekwondo on the show. We have a special guest lined up for you who will give you insights into Nigeria's preparations for the Olympics. We'll also talk about the plight of Nigerian footballers. We will look at what is going on, measures to ensure things are going on well with professional footballers in the country, what they're hoping for, what they're hoping to get. We'll also talk about the Europa League, as I said earlier. We'll take a look at the two teams involved, Manchester United and Villarreal. We'll also talk about the venue where the match will be played. Some of the details, we'll give that all for you. We'll also talk about France, what's happening in France, and also what's happening in Germany. That's the outlook of the show for today. As you already know, a lot of countries are already releasing their squads for the Euro 2020. Yesterday, Spain released the squad. Captain Sergio Ramos missing out from that 24-man squad. Today, England released a 33-man provisional squad. Of course, they're going to prune it to 26 later on. If time allows, we'll also talk about the Super Eagles as they prepare for the friendly against Cameroon. Coach Gernot Rohr also has pruned his team down to 24. So that's the outlook of the show. Let's bring you into all that we're doing on the show tonight. You can send us a mail. You can drop your comments on Facebook, and you can also tweet at us right there on your screen. Our channels_sports. That's our Twitter handle. Talk to us on the show tonight. Get across to us on Facebook, Channels on Sports. Send us a mail. We'll do our best to read it. sportstonight@channelstv.com. That's how you can talk to us on the show. We need your feedback, and of course, we want you to be a part of all that we're doing. All right, let's move on the show. As our usual practice these days, we start with our countdown to the biggest sporting event on the planet. The biggest sporting event, I say again, the multi-sport event called the Olympics, the Tokyo Olympics. 59 days to go. A lot of stories coming out of Tokyo. The United States has told its citizens not to go to Japan because of the, well, it was an advisory because of the COVID-19, the increase in number of COVID-19 cases in that country. Also, a lot happening, but 59 days to go. The IOC is very confident that all things will go according to plan. Let's talk about the torch relay. Of course, the torch relay symbolizes what's going to happen in the Olympics. When you see the torch relay, you know that the countdown has begun in earnest. Let's quickly tell you about what happened today. The torch relay spent its first day in the Kyoto prefecture today, but the state of emergency in that place meant that the relay was restricted to a ceremony held in a soccer stadium in Kameoka City. We've witnessed that in a lot of places where it's either stationary or people not allowed to line the streets as it is their usual practice. So that's what happened there today. The torch relay in full effect. We've covered over 30 prefectures and just about 17 thereabout to go till we get down to the big one. But officially, 59 days to go. So as we look at that, we'll narrow our scope down to Nigeria, and that's why we're going to have that conversation today. You're looking at pictures from Japan, but we want to have that conversation today, and no better person to have that conversation with us than an Olympian, than somebody who's heavily invested in sports development in Nigeria, especially taekwondo. Chika Chukwumerede joins us on the show tonight. Greetings to you. Thanks for taking our time to be with us on the show.
Yeah, good to see you again.
Okay, thanks for joining us. Probably this is the first time I'm seeing you this year, so I still can say Happy New Year to you because it's the first time. But thanks for being on the show.
Yeah, definitely. Happy New Year to you. It's been a tough year for everyone. So we're
All
happy we
right.
made it so far.
Yeah. So let's talk about taekwondo, but first let's, a global picture. I know as an administrator, you're not worried about the news coming out from Japan and all of the things happening. So I'm going to ask you, Nigeria's preparation for the Olympics, how many of our athletes have qualified? How many do you expect at the end of the day to be there? And what are the things you're doing to help these athletes perform well in Tokyo?
The video is kind of shaking, but if I got your question right, you first asked if I was worried about Japan
Yeah. Of course, yeah.
in the
Let's
Olympics
start
because
from
of
there. Yeah.
COVID, and you asked about the preparations of athletes.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. No, I'm very the Olympics will take place. But had to take place, and the reason one, the financial implications, and two, the impact on the mental health of the fans. So when you combine those factors, definitely, I'm very sure that the Olympics will take place. Thankfully, the vaccinations took place, and a lot of people are vaccinated. So I'm sure that the Olympics is going to take place. So definitely, I'm not worried about it not taking place.
You listened to the IOC president just now giving his assurance. And I'm asking, as an administrator, I'm very sure you're preparing your athletes. You're not bothered about the noise coming from Japan, about whether it's going to be cancelled or postponed.
Bothered. I'm not bothered because one, as Mr. Batch said, the IOC president, a lot of people actually get. I just took mine yesterday, and by the second week in July, the entire Taekwondo team will be done with their vaccination. And I think it's going to be the same case. Athletes and officials who will be going to the Olympics. And as I was saying before, there are two other major reasons why the Olympics will hold. Is actually sports is almost like an essential worker. People are running crazy at home, not being able to connect with their sports. Is the height of it. Want to watch their favorite athletes, and I think this is a major factor in allowing it to hold. And the second reason is, of course, financial. In the Premier League or all the football leagues would hold because it's a major contributor to the economy of the country and the globe. So I think everything will be done to make sure this games is safely held in 8 weeks' time.
Okay, all right. That's good to hear coming from you. Let's talk about Nigeria now. Of course, how many of our athletes have qualified, are going? How many do you expect to be there? I know the information is out there, but it would be good to hear it from you and to tell us the number and, of course, their preparation so far.
Okay, I just caught preparations, and I think you're so yes, Elizabeth is in good physical form. So definitely when it comes to physical fitness, probably 95%. We've been doing a lot of work on her tactical and technical ability. Unfortunately, she didn't get in as much competitions as I wished. We didn't get the resources we needed. A, plan B, plan C, and definitely we'll be rolling on plan C. And it's good because I think mentally she's also in a good place. Next week, on Wednesday, we leave for Dakar, Senegal, and she will be faced with a 10 test. Going to meet two of our opponents who Tokyo. So to be a good way to assess where she is. And after the event in Senegal, we're going 6 weeks or 7 weeks before she enters the mat in Tokyo. So definitely, I like where she. Right now, is just to give her all the support, the word psychological support, inducements, and all that.
It does appear we're having a lot of
when Tokyo
difficulty
gets
having this
underway.
conversation, but I'll try one more time and see if it's going to be smoother this time. You've been talking about Elizabeth, and a lot, you know, a lot has been said about her, and of course she has credited you for some of the things that has happened in her career recently. I want to ask from your angle, what are your expectations from her as she goes to the Olympics?
Well, my expectations, and Elizabeth will tell you this, is yes, she's the underdog. Yes, it was amazing. She only has competed like yes. So it's amazing that she's even at the Olympics because we had a very good training program and she's actually an exceptional talent. I said, look, there's no reason why we cannot go to Tokyo with the intention, with the belief that we would be on the podium.
Okay.
We have approached the training. So I really don't care what the books say. I think it's always important as mentality. And Elizabeth to be on the podium in Japan.
Okay. All right, that's good to hear. Unfortunately, technology appears not to be on our side tonight. Having a lot of difficulty having this conversation. But I want to thank Chike Chukwumereji for taking our time to speak with us on the show tonight. We've done our best to have this conversation, but it does appear we cannot. And of course, we have to continue with the show. And hopefully we get to do this some other time to talk about what's happening in Taekwondo in Nigeria and most especially our preparations for the Olympics. All right, let's move on. Talking about the Olympics, let's quickly talk about, you know, dissenting voices. A lot of people, the IOC is assuring us that the Olympics will be safe, but there are people that are saying that it is absurd to have the Olympics this year. They're claiming, in spite of everything that is happening, if we want to prioritize the health of people and safety and everything, we should not be thinking about the Olympics. So, like I've been saying a couple of days and weeks, the dissenting voices seem to be growing louder and louder. Let's listen to a professor, you know, in that medical line, give his mind, speak his mind, and of course give his opinion on staging the Olympics at this particular time in Japan.
If you think of the two key features of the Olympics, they involve a huge amount of international travel and mass gatherings. And they are two things that are entirely incompatible with a pandemic. So it's going to cost lives having the Olympics at the moment. It's an optional activity. I love the Olympics, and I really feel for the athletes who've trained so hard to go. But there's no reason, no justification whatsoever to have the Olympics at the moment. And if you're talking with people over the last year, this year, I think everyone in the public health field has said it's fine to have the Olympics after the pandemic, or at least when the pandemic is well controlled and we're seeing it diminish in intensity around the globe. And it's actually opposite at the moment. The pandemic is intensifying and there'll be more people who die this year than last year. And inequalities are getting worse. And the only places where the pandemic is under control are the small number of countries which have eliminated it, and I guess wealthy countries that are starting to roll out the vaccine extensively. So it's a very unequal situation. And I think that staging the Olympics just makes it even more clear how unequal the world is at the moment.
All right, a professor of public health, medical expert Michael Baker, you know, speaking his mind and talking about all of this things. I'm very sure we're going to continue to have all of this, and we'll see. We'll see what happens in the days and weeks to come. But we can tell you from where we stand, it does appear like the Olympics will go ahead. Officially, it's less than 2 months to the event. All right, let me introduce Kehinde Idris. He joins me now as we talk about this and a lot more on the show. Kehinde Idris, thanks for beating the traffic to be in the studio. Thanks for joining me.
It's good to be here, and against all odds,
Yeah, I
I guess
understand.
better late than never.
Sure.
It's finally good to be here, especially not being around last week. So, staging a comeback after the hiatus last week.
I understand. But, just put those
Yes.
things to you. You listen to the IOC, Thomas Bach.
Yes.
I mean, you could say whatever he said word for word, because if you're in his position,
You would say
you would
something.
say those things.
Yeah.
And medical experts saying it's even absurd to think about hosting the Olympics at this point.
Especially at this time, especially when you now take Japan into context. Now, it's not about what's happening around the world. It's about what's happening in Japan.
Some are handling it well, some are recovering.
Yes, exactly. But if you also go back to, there will be receptiveness when it comes to this, and there will be some that are wholeheartedly accepting the fact that the game should hold, even in the same Japan. So you would always have that two factions, one on the side of no, the other one. But whenever you hear medical experts talk about this at this level, then you start to take note of how worse things might go if we go ahead and get to host these games. But you would firstly, let me go to football. When Angela Merkel talked about the Bundesliga should resume, in the entire world, it was like, does she know what she's saying? Do they know what they are doing?
Okay, I need to put you on a pause because we need to go on a break.
Okay.
But we'll have to continue with that. It's very important
Yeah.
what you're saying about how Germany being the first country to start sports even in the heat and the height of everything COVID-19. We need to go on a break right about now. When we return from that break, Austin Okonakwan will join us, and of course we're talking about the Olympics and of course things happening on the domestic scene. Join us again. All right, welcome back. I'm going to allow Kehinde Idris just, finish what he was saying about the Olympics, how Germany gave us a model that we're all following, a playbook that was very effective. We had COVID-19, but the German Bundesliga resumed. I guess that's what's even giving the IOC confidence that we can do this.
We can go ahead and do that. As of then, it was like, I think there is madness somewhere. But the Bundesliga started, and we saw, I would use this word, quote and unquote, shamefully, a lot of league had to take lead from that. When they were all like, you can't
something
happen.
Is good, you copy
something
it.
is good, copy. Then
it.
also, go to the NBA All-Stars. As of the time the NBA All-Stars idea for this last one was bettered, a lot of NBA top players were against it. Why would they have an All-Star while this whole thing is happening? But come to when the All-Star ended, all of these same players commended, the fun they had and also the showing.
The
so
initiative,
you can always go back to, there will be, people would say we don't want to have this, but the moment they have it, they will commend your, having the initiative to go ahead. And I can remember the former U.S. president saying that if we go by what the, COVID-19 is telling us to do, it is a dangerous virus. And even the cure that we imagine is way more dangerous. That is locking people at home. Sportsmen and women might just go AWOL.
And even exactly. He said, look, sports helps people with mental health issues.
It frees your mind, it frees your brain and all. So
we'll see.
I, for one, want to see the Olympic happen. Okay. Whether it's entire people locked down, let's have the athletes compete and let's go ahead.
And give us something positive to focus on. All right, let's move on. Let's bring in Austin Okonakwan. He joins us on the show. Greetings to you, Austin. Thanks for finding time to be with us on the show tonight.
Sporty criticism, it's good to be on Sports Tonight.
All right. I think it's only fair. Let me allow you to say something. You listen to the public health experts talk about it being absurd to have the Olympics. Then you also juxtapose it with the IOC president, Thomas Bach, saying it's going to be safe, guys, don't worry.
And so those growing concerns, continue, Yemi, and that, as I've always said, puts a big dark cloud over the hosting of the Tokyo Olympics. When persons are saying, look, it's absurd, and these are health practitioners, here in the UK, every day persons are talking about, not just spreading the virus, but also protecting health workers, and that's a big, big concern. if health officials in Japan are saying, look, it's absurd for us to have the Olympics, but Thomas Bach from day one, even before the Olympics was postponed, has been, one that has been teaching us what it means to keep the faith. And you can't blame him, because they understand what it means to have the Olympics. They know the damages, that, occurred when it was postponed. So it is what it is. Some persons having concerns they shouldn't hold. Thomas Bach and his IOC crew, plus officials in Tokyo, Japan, are believing that, a miracle can happen and then they have the Olympics. But again, when health officials are saying, look, it's not safe, it's absurd, protect your people, then it's a major concern, Yemi.
It is. All right, so we'll leave it there, but of course we'll continue our countdown until we're told otherwise, but hopefully that won't happen. All right, let's come to the domestic scene and talk about what's happening on the domestic scene. Of course, we're going to listen to former player of the Super Eagles, talking about the state of affairs in Nigerian football, talking about the plight of footballers on the domestic scene and what he hopes to achieve. We're talking about Tijani Babangida, the president of the National Association of Nigerian Professional Football Players, talking about what he hopes to happen. He paid a courtesy visit to the LMC CEO, LMC CEO designate, that's Davison Omi. Let's just hear him in his words. We'll come back to digest some of the things that he said.
I will take this opportunity to congratulate the Nigerian football president, Melvin Ahmadu Pinnick, and his vice, Diko and Sheyi Akinwumi at the same time, for making this decision, for bringing one of our own, a good administrator, as the CEO of the league designated. And now is the time. The time has come that we will be all together. We want to see Nigerian football go to the highest level, the level that we know it is from the 1994-96 until 2000. That level we want to see that Nigerian football is going to reach and above. Personally, I have a chat, of course, with the league about this problem, where we want to protect the players, first of all, for not signing a contract by themselves. You must come with an agent or a lawyer that can be able to protect your contract. Because if you see what is happening now, half-season players will be sacked. And if you ask them where is their contract, some don't even know they have a contract. They only sign a paper. So there is time. That's why you see when we have our own that is coming in there is a lot of things that we can be able to discuss with him so that this thing cannot happen. And that is one tack that we are going to talk to him and beg him that let clubs, this is a message to all clubs, they should sign their players that they know they will use them for a year, not for 2 months or 3 months. If you sign a contract in everywhere in the world, if you are sacking a player, you call him and pay him off.
All right, so that's it. Tijani Babangida speaking, leading a delegation of the Players Union, of course, pleading, asking, appealing for best practices to be done with regards to Nigerian play. Of course, Tijani Babangida needs little or no introduction. He's played abroad, played for the Super Eagles, and of course, he seeking for things to be improved on the domestic scene. And of course, he also mentioned that one of our own, of course, referring to Davison Owumi, somebody who's also played football at that level. Let me quickly go to Austin. What do you make of that visit the Players Union, making their presence felt, and also using that opportunity to talk about the plight of footballers, especially the ones on the domestic scene, and hoping that the incoming administrator would listen to some of those things and work with them to ensure that, the welfare of the players is paramount.
Very important here. I mean, we've always talked about it. Some of the few times, that we've had bad news coming from the league is most times tied around, players' welfare, poor, contracts, and then clubs not, honoring or staying to the contractual agreements of players' contracts. So it's a good one. Shout out to Tijani Babangida and the Players Union. I know the sort of work TJ has been putting into that union and ensuring that they have a voice, and then we do something different with our football. And they are going to the right person, someone who has managed club football, who is qualified, who is very deep. David Sinoumi is astute, understands league football operations. I'm sure he's going to listen, and as the LMC CEO designate, he can actually make his presence felt. So it's a good one. I love the fact that Tijani Babangida urged clubs, why bring a player if you're not going to use the player? And ensure that if you're bringing such player, the player should at least sign at least a year contract and use the player. And if you don't use the player, and you want to take them off, you pay him off because it's a contract, I think the time has come, and this is where it starts, regulations and doing the right things. I keep saying it, that we need to build a proper business environment for sports to thrive in Nigeria, and this is how it starts. So let Tijani Babangida and his union continue. I think ex-internationals should join him, give him his support. Let them go around and see ways that we can do some cleansing to league football in Nigeria.
All right. Katie, I don't know if you want to add a scene or two. I'm delighted. But like Austin said, I played with Tijani Babangida and his union. Don't just stop at this. Yeah. Keep having this discussion. Just continue till we get to that point where we can be happy with what we see about the welfare and the plight of players on the domestic scene.
There is a popular song we all sing, and maybe sometimes we just get to sing there and not go back thinking about the lyrics deeply. It says there comes a time where you hear the clarion call. What Tijani Babangida is doing is what we all know that is happening. But probably the clarion call got to him personally. This contractual discussion is something everybody who's got clout, who's got some status that when you speak, people will hear or listen, should be talking about. A player you hear at the end of a season, now the season will soon end, you hear 26 players were, let off, and then you bring in 30 players. If you are to sign contract with all of these players, that there is a payment from your club to these players every now and then, it will be hard for you to always say you push out these numbers and bring in these slide numbers. At the end of the day, top clubs around the world, you hear 5 players coming in, 6 players coming, because they know what they have to cough out for each of these players. He also mentioned something, Mike. He said even some of these players do not even know they are under contract.
Just pen on paper.
On paper, and then they go on playing. All they want to do is play. This is also where, like Austin said, business, environment. Every player should have an agency or an agent that, speaks his deals to clubs and all of that. You, as a player, yes, you should sign the contract, but you should have that man or that team that has seen everything, look through the contract and said, Yemi, this contract is good for you, sign it. So we should do that. It's the basic. If we cannot put this together, then we cannot talk about a professional league.
There's no point. There's no point at all. All right, guys, we're pressed for time. Let's move on quickly as we can. Let's talk about what's going to happen tomorrow here in Nigeria, across the country. Matches will be played in the Nigeria Professional Football League. So let's take a look at what's going to happen on Wednesday and on Thursday. I'll reel out the fixtures. I'll allow the guys spend a minute or two to talk about it, and we move on. Sunshine Stars will take on MFM. That's a Southwest Derby. Kano Pillars will take on Nasarawa United. You have Adamawa United who will be up against Katsina United. Heartland will take on Plateau United. Wiki Tourists will be up against Aba Elephants, done with their campaign on the continent. They can focus on football in the NPFL. Now, Akwara United will be up against Rivers United. Dakada will play against FC Ifeanyi. Then Warri Wolves will take on Lobi Stars. These matches are for Wednesday. Let's go to Thursday. 2 matches will be played on Thursday. Abia Warriors will take on Aqua United, and Rangers will take on Jigawa Golden Stars. Let me go to Austin quickly. Your take in a minute or two. Matches for tomorrow and Thursday. What are the things to look out for?
In the Nigeria Professional Football League, I'm looking forward to Kano Pillars taking on Nasarawa United. That game will decide a lot to what the look and feel of the NPFL table. So let's see if Canopilas can keep their good form going. Remember, they fought hard to beat Adamawa United, and then they went to Katsina to pick a point. That game ended 1-1. Rabiu Ali scored a stunning free kick. He's a legend for that club, and to give us another opportunity to see Ahmed Musa. If they win that one comfortably and something goes wrong for Aqua United, then Kano Pillars will go on top of the league. I also want to see Kwara United and Rivers. Kwara United are still unbeaten at the Lawrence Township, at the Lawrence Sports Complex. So let's see, Rivers United brings a good test to them. Rivers United, fantastic form, going to Rangers to win, but then they dropped a point at home on match day 22. Of course, Aqua United, if they get to win against Abia Warriors, it will boost their season hopes, but it's going to be very difficult because Abia Warriors, they've shown that they can compete. So it's going to be a good one.
All right. Kenny?
I think for me, first game will be Sunshine against MFM. Sunshine, is it time for you to overturn the season? They started so well, about 6 games. It looks like, they were building on something. But since then, it's
the problem
been...
surfaced.
And for MFM, it looks like they've turned their season around. 3 games on the bounce, getting all 3 points, 9 points, have put them in a different shape entirely from what we saw build up to the end of the first half of the season. So MFM, thinking they want to consolidate, and you're playing, Sunshine that is not doing so well. Also, the wicked tourist Eyimba. Eyimba, now you've rested the ghost of Continental and all. Is it time for you to now stare, look at the league in the face and go for what we know you always do, talking about getting to win the league? Also, he mentioned Kano Pillars Nasarawa, top game. It should be Kwara against Rivers. I want to see how Kwara will continue to, preserve their position at the top. For Kano Pillars and Kwara, I think I want to see this war. For Aqua United, Abia Warriors for Thursday, I think Kano probably sits at the top, for a few hours. Then maybe Aqua United will usurp. And if it doesn't happen, continue to enjoy that.
All right. Okay. So let's move on the show. But I have a tweet here. I think I should read. I asked you to send in your tweet, so you've done your part. I should read this one. Omogunwa Shegun. He says, I think Ramos not being part of the Spain squad to the Euros goes a long way to set an example to the Super Eagles and Coach Genotro on how to handle business. I'm trying to see how to link this. Maybe we should spend a minute or two to talk about these 2 issues quickly. You listen to what I just read out. It says for Spain not to include someone like Ramos, that should tell Nigeria and Coach Genotro how to handle business. What's your reaction to that tweet?
Well, Nigeria is not Spain, and we understand. We understand our football. They understand theirs also. Sergio Ramos has also done a lot for Spain. So if they feel like they've got enough options for him, why not? And they seem to have that. So you can't bring that into our mix. For instance, who do you want to compare to Ramos's experience in the current Super Eagles squad? It's probably no one. So there's no comparison in that one. I mean, Spain is Spain, Nigeria is Nigeria. We understand our own rules of our football, and we have our players that can execute matches.
All right. A good place to leave it. Let's go to break. Right about now, we press for time. When we return, we'll try to talk about the Europa League and, of course, the news in Germany. Hans Flick will be the next German manager after the European Championships. All right, welcome back. Of course, we are a few minutes to the end of the show. And, of course, let's quickly talk about the Europa League final. Let's give you the match details. That's it on your screen. We'll be going to Poland, Gdansk. That's where the game will be played. Villarreal against Manchester United. Of course, Wednesday, May 26, 8 p.m. That's when the game will be played. The referee for the game, Clement Turpin from France. That's the referee. Let me go to Austin quickly. In 30 seconds, what's going to happen tomorrow? We're pressed for time. I hate to do this to you, but I don't have a choice. 30 seconds. What's going to happen tomorrow?
We're going to say tight game of football. Both sides don't need it. If you see the stats, it's pretty tight. Manchester United needs to do something this season so we can talk about them. Villarreal, they love, They love it at this level because of the coach that they have. Unai Emery loves the Europa League. So, yeah, I mean, it's going to be difficult, but the look and feel, it seems Manchester United will have it.
All right, Arsenal Konakwan, I want to thank you for your time today. Hopefully, we'll do this later in the week.
Always a delight to be on the show. Thank you.
All right, Idris, your parting shot. I don't know if you're like a lot of Nigerians who want Villarreal to win because Chukwueze is there.
Yeah, yeah, that would always,
And you have to do that in 5 seconds.
Yeah, that would always play out. Also, Villarreal needs this. Okay. Manchester United have already made a Champions League spot. Villarreal needs this to be in the Champions League. So maybe this might just be good incentive at the end of the day.
All right, Kehinde Idris, I want to thank you for your time on the show. We'll do this again some other time.
Of course. It's always good to be here.
All right. I told you earlier, Hans Flick will be in charge of Germany at the end of the Euros. Christophe Galtier of Lille has told the club after winning the League One that he will be leaving at the end of the season. His destination, we do not know. Lyon, Napoli, Tottenham, who knows? But that's how we end the show tonight. Hopefully you've enjoyed everything we've brought to you. We'll do this again tomorrow. I'm Ian Adebayo. Bye-bye now.